The Bessie Coleman Foundation, Inc. recognizes that writing history is what humans do with power. We embrace our collective power to honor and to archive the aeronautical accomplishments of women of color.
Queen Bess, the first American to earn an international pilot's license. Elizabeth Coleman faced both racial and gender discrimination, but overcame such challenges to become the first American to earn an international pilot's license. Queen Bess was born on January 26, 1892, in Atlanta, Texas, to a poor Southern African-American mother and a Native American father who had to leave his family because at the time, being Cherokee Indian in Texas was more dangerous than being a Negro. While living in Chicago, her brother John told her that French women flew airplanes and declared that flying was something Betsy would never be able to do. On June 15, 1921, Queen Bess obtained her pilot's license from the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale, becoming the first American to earn this international aviator's license. When Queen Bess returned to the United States in 1921, her very presence in the air threatened prevailing contemporary stereotypes. She gave an exhibition in her old hometown of Waxahachie, Texas. According to the Texas law, the event required racially segregated facilities, but Queen Bess refused to perform under such conditions. She demanded only one admission gate. After much negotiation, she finally got her way, and all of the Texans entered the airfield through the same gate. By becoming a licensed pilot and performing throughout the country, Queen Bess proved that we do not have to be shackled by stereotypes about white supremacy or the myths about inabilities due to gender or skin color. All of us have an undeniable right to succeed and to realize our dreams. Queen Bess, Bessie Coleman, a true American.
Willa Brown, aviatrix. The year 1936. A beautiful colored woman walked confidently into a newspaper office, and the typewriters went silent. They thought she was a model, but she announced, "I'm Willa Brown, an aviatrix." Willa Beatrice Brown was born on January 22, 1906 in Glasgow, Kentucky. Inspired by Bessie Coleman, she started taking flying lessons in 1934 and even purchased her own airplane. She earned her pilot's license in 1937, making her the first African-American woman to be licensed to fly in the U.S. In 1939, she received a commercial pilot's license and successfully lobbied Congress for legislation that allowed African Americans in the civilian pilot training program. Some of those pilots later became the legendary Tuskegee Airmen. She earned a master's mechanics certificate, an MBA, and her private pilot's license, making her the only woman in 1943 to possess both the mechanics and commercial license in aviation. She took her last flight in June of 1992 at the age of 86 and died a few weeks later. Willow Brown Chappelle was inducted into Aviation Hall of Fame for her native state of Kentucky in 2003. The Bessie Coleman Foundation says, "Fly, Willow, fly." Army Air Corps retired Major. You probably won't find this on your American history test. Who was the first African American female military flight nurse? Retired Major Nancy Lieutenant Cologne, a world travel country girl, served in Korea, Japan, Okinawa, and Indochina. In an astonishing historic moment, Major Cologne was aboard the first medical evacuation flight into Vietnam in 1954. She was also the first woman ever elected president of the Tuskegee Airmen International. Nancy Cologne understands the power of writing your own history. In fact, her life story will be an entire chapter in a book about black women, veterans of World War II, written by history students at Hiram College. She says, we don't revisit history for the purpose of recrimination and divisiveness. Rather, we use history as an aid to understanding how things got to be the way they are today and how we can work together. Retired Major Nancy Cologne, we salute you.
Most of us have heard or seen images of Rosie the Riveter, the female symbol of World War II and G.I. Joe. She represents any woman defense worker, and she is an example of strength and ability. These women built aircraft in the 1940s. What most of us don't know is that many of these Rosies were women of color. Imagine these brown-skinned women, hair covered, with drill in hand, humming their favorite big band music and building airplanes. In February of 2005, Boeing Aircraft Company in Renton, Washington recognized and celebrated the contributions of these brown-skinned Rosies. According to their newsletter, these Rosies played a major role in breaking down racial barriers and opening doors for women. The Bessie Coleman Foundation accepts the responsibility to archive this history, and we say fly, sister, fly to all of the Rosies. You are the legacy. You are the strong shoulders that have allowed many of us to enjoy careers in aviation. Thank you.
The Bessie Coleman Foundation, Inc. and the Organization of Black Airline Pilots present Fly, Sister, Fly, honorees for 2007.
Tahira Lamont Brown, first and only African-American female pilot for FedEx Express. Tahira is a native of Brooklyn, New York. Her interest in flying began at the age of 13 while on a trip to Walt Disney World in Florida. This trip sparked an interest and flame that never dulled. She received a BS in Aviation Business Management and then attended flight school. Later, she flew the Beechcraft 1900 as captain. 4 years later, Federal Express hired her as a flight engineer on the Boeing 727. Presently, she is a first officer on the Airbus 300. Tahira says, I love to fly. I've achieved my goals in part because of the many sacrifices of those before me. I hope to inspire women to strive for the stars and follow their dreams. When your package has to be there absolutely positively on time, don't worry. It is flying with Tahira. Deborah Catron, also known as Lady D, knows mechanics. Aircraft mechanics, that is. Deborah became fascinated with aviation while sitting along the Memphis airport watching airplanes in the 1960s with her father. Deborah started her airframe and power plant A&P studies in the August of 1980 at Memphis Aero Votech, where she was expelled after being told she could not learn. But that did not stop Lady D. Like Queen Bess, Lady D refused to take no for an answer. She did not let that deter her from the dreams of working on aircraft. She moved and resumed her studies in Alameda, California. In 1983, she received her airframe and power plant mechanics license concurrently. Her license was signed by the famous Tuskegee Airman, Cornelius Coffey. She was hired by the Federal Aviation Administration as an aircraft mechanic in 1986 and was promoted to an airworthiness aviation safety inspector. Deborah has since learned that she is the first African-American female maintenance aviation safety inspector.
Krista Elise Cole, first Tuskegee female pilot since World War II. Following in the footsteps of the Tuskegee Airmen, Krista Elise Cole is the first female graduate of Tuskegee University, Kansas State University Flight Training Program, and the third Tuskegee Airwoman. The aerospace engineer has earned her private instruments, commercial and multi-engine ratings and is committed to ensure that Tuskegee can continue to offer a flight training program. Crystal says, during a high school visitation at Tuskegee University, I had the opportunity to speak to two of the Tuskegee Airmen. I let them know my dreams was becoming a pilot. The two men let me know that my goals were attainable. I knew at that moment Tuskegee was going to be my new home. Crystal currently works at Cessna Aircraft Company as a design engineer. Her ultimate goals are to become a commercial pilot and to be able to mentor youth and to let them know that their dreams are possible. Consider it done.
Melody Cranford, founder of the Bessie Coleman Club in Atlanta, Texas. Like Queen Bess, who opened the doors to aviation for African Americans, Melody Cranford is opening doors too. She founded the Bessie Coleman Club to utilize Queen Bess' achievements to ensure academic success for students. Melody discovered the legacy of her homegirl, Bessie Coleman, while researching the concerns of the students in Cass County. To promote literacy in Queen Bess's hometown, Melody dresses like Bessie Coleman and tells stories to students. Her goal is to help children fall in love with reading. She also launched STAR, Students Tackling Academic Requirements. Through this program, 2 at-risk teens have already entered the college of their own choice. Melody Cranford is keeping the legacy of Bessie Coleman alive in Atlanta, Texas. Sister, we applaud you.
Where is your pink and ring? All you AKAs should know about your soror, Christine Mann Darden, PhD. She is a pioneer and a leading expert in the phenomenon of sonic shock waves, also called sonic booms. She became a top-level strategist for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. Dr. Darden has always liked thinking. Some people discouraged her from entering a, quote, man's world of engineering, but she earned her PhD and became an aerospace engineer. On August 27, 2003, a test flight of a modified F-5 plane provided confirmation for her theory to minimize the sonic boom of a supersonic flight, and she became the recognized expert in this field. Dr. Darden believes in helping others to reach their potential. She has presented many talks at school and has conducted labs through her sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha. She stresses that you can do something if you're willing to work for it. Scream! Norma Jean Eli has been an air traffic control specialist with the Federal Aviation Administration for the past 20 years and is currently assigned to FAA headquarters as a terminal operations specialist. She has been an invaluable member of the Bessie Coleman Foundation and presently honorably serves in the Office of Treasurer. Because of her professionalism and her integrity, the Bessie Coleman Foundation recently provided 2 scholarships in the amount of $2,000 to future aviators. Bessie Coleman Foundation depends on her and she never lets us down. Norma, a 1986 graduate of Florida Memorial College, was one of the first 2 graduates to earn a BA in the Aviation Science program. She recently received a Master of Business Administration with a specialization in Human Resources Management. In her other life, Norma is a Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Army Reserves and was awarded the Bronze Star Medal for her outstanding service while serving as the battalion commander in Iraq. Today, Lieutenant Colonel Norma Eli, Bessie Coleman Foundation awards you. Also, fly, sister, fly. Norma Eli, an American soldier.
All stand and give this sister some RESPECT. Colonel Stacy D. Harris is the Commander, 459th Air Refueling Wing, Andrews Air Force Base. She provided vision for the Bessie Coleman Foundation as a prior BCF board member. Colonel Harris was accepted into the University of Southern California on an engineering ROTC scholarship. She spent her first year and a half in the Air Force as Chief of Industrial Engineering and then as the Squadron Section Commander of Civil Engineering. Colonel Harris has flown the KC-135R, C-141B/C, T-38, and the T-37. This command pilot with more than 2,500 flight hours is currently a 747-400 first officer for United Airlines, flying routes to Asia and Europe. She says, "I believe the Air Force and the military as a whole provides opportunities for all. I am just an example of what we can do in the military. When Colonel Harris speaks, we listen."
Look up in the sky. It's not Superman, it's a superwoman. It is NASA's astronaut Joan Hickenlooper. This Chicago native did not plan on going into the space program. She explained, "What I had envisioned for myself was to get a degree, my electrical engineering degree, and go on to work for IBM. Instead of being strapped at a desk, in December 2006, when Space Shuttle Discovery roared off the launch pad, Joan Hickenlooper was strapped into her seat on Discovery's mid-deck for the ride of her life. She and the Discovery's crew rewired the station's power system and delivered a key component of the station's structure. She had to learn Russian for this mission. Superwoman, we are certain that Queen Bess is happy."
Jackie Johnson, an instructor at Wake Technical Community College, didn't see many educational websites with black characters when her boys were growing up, so she decided to create a website of her own, Mop Top the Hip Hop Scientist, through the website www.moptopshop.com, and his trusty sidekick Lollipop spend their time in a interactive lab learning about African American scientists, including Queen Bess. She designed Lollipop because it's important to have a female character to get more girls interested in science and math. Thank you, Jackie, for developing an educational tool that's fun and cool.
Girls in technology, no problem for Queen Bess, Marion Denise Kelly, a native Texan born and raised in the metropolitan Houston area. She attended college on a dual degree scholarship program at Texas Southern and Rice Universities in Houston, where she studied computer science and electrical engineering. She is currently a manager with the Boeing Company in Houston, working with NASA at the Johnson Space Center. Denise is the author and presenter of a number of aerospace publications. She was named 1992 Engineer of the Year by the National Greater Houston Aerotechnical Achiever Academy and was featured in an article in the Houston Chronicle for her work with Houston Entrepreneur. Denise is actively involved in Women and the Science, a mentoring program in which young women are teamed with female science professionals to assist in career planning. We don't have to worry about our Texas girls. Marion Denise Kelly is providing an excellent role model and making sure that they are well informed.
Are there any Deltas in the house? Colonel Knighton belongs to Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc., and for over 25 years has pledged her commitment to public service. She has provided vision and leadership as the former vice president of the Bessie Coleman Foundation, Inc. In 1980, Colonel Knighton, Nikki, became the second black woman in the United States to complete aviation training within the Department of Defense and the first woman from the state of Georgia. She is the senior black female aviator on active duty in the Department of Defense and the first woman to command a tactical combat arms battalion. She pilots the Army's UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter and is a combat veteran of Desert Storm, Mogadishu, Somalia, and Bosnia. She was promoted to the rank of colonel while assigned to the Pentagon. Her most cherished and memorable life experience has been the privilege and honor to serve our nation with the best that America has to offer, America's sons and daughters. Thank you, Nikki, for your vision.
That's a bad girl.
What do you think the sisters in Africa are doing? Well, one of them, Miss Christine Unjuma, is flying airplanes. Christine Unjuma made history by becoming the first Cameroonian female pilot when she was recruited by Cameroon Airlines, CAMAIR. This was a groundbreaking achievement that challenged deeply ingrained beliefs about gender roles for Cameroonian and African women. Christine obtained her aviation license in April 2001 from the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Dayton Beach, Florida, where she also received a master's degree in airline operations and safety. She is also the holder of a BA in French and Spanish. Christine is definitely a trailblazer and a role model, not only for young African women, but for all women with dreams begging to be fulfilled. As she rightly told her detractors, brains, not breasts, fly planes. As of April 2006, Christine landed a job as a corporate pilot for an American petroleum company in Douala, Cameroon. She flies the de Havilland Twin Otter. Fly, my African sister, fly.
Have you ever thought about what it takes to manage several airports? Ask Laverne Reed. This Texas native is the embodiment of the idea that Texas is a frame of mind. A Texan believes that the individual is powerful. Laverne Reed is the manager of the FAA New England Region Airports Division, and she humbly accepts the power of this position. Laverne came to New England from the Memphis, Tennessee Airports District Office, where she provided oversight of federal grants for airports, including the nation's busiest cargo airport, Memphis International. Because of her efforts, the Mid-South Equal Opportunity Council has donated over $1,000 annually in the fight against breast cancer. As past national president of the Business and Professional Women of the United States, she served as its key national spokesperson to empower all individuals to be self-sufficient. So the next time you are strolling through an airport, think about being as powerful as Laverne Reed. Think about airport management.
Evie Lou Washington, licensed commercial and airline transport pilot.
There are so many people who have made it possible for that pilot to be able to get in there and to get the airplane started and to get airborne. So I tell them it's just important for the people behind the scenes, and the jobs are just as critical or more critical. Because to me, I think a mechanic's job is the most critical. And it should be the most glamorized job there is, because we depend on them totally, you know. So, and a lot of students do not even realize that they know that mechanics fix cars. They never dreamed that a mechanic fixed an airplane as well. And girls particularly think, a girl? Do they have girls, you know? And I try, yes, girls can do it. You know, if you just, you know, don't frown on anything or don't put it out of your scope of capabilities until you give it a try. You know, go see what's all involved. And if it's something that seemed to be something you'd be interested in, give it a try.
Sisters from the state of Texas continue to make aviation history. From Queen Bess, who was the first American to receive an international pilot license to Queen Ava L. Wickerson, the first African American female FAA Southwest Regional Administrator, encompassing Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. While she was in this capacity, she maintained oversight for this 5,400 person region. Ms. Wilkerson spent 12 years in Washington headquarters and served as Director of International Aviation. She served on two agency-wide research and engineering task forces to integrate FAA and NASA research, engineering, and development safety programs. Ms. Wilkerson spent 10 years in quality assurance with the Defense Contract Management District Office in California, overseeing contract support of the F-16 and F-18 aircraft.
Born in College Station, Texas, Eleanor J. Williams embodies the spirit that former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan describes as, "Texas has that feeling that I, as an individual, can accomplish whatever I want and that there are no limits. Like Queen Bess, Eleanor does not allow life to limit her." The first job Eleanor Williams had at an FAA building was to clean the place. From that humble beginning in 1963, she launched a career that in 1971 made her the first African American woman certified air traffic controller for the FAA and the first African American woman to manage an FAA Air Route Traffic Control Center. Before retiring in 1997, Williams held an executive management position for the regional administrator of the Great Lakes region. Following Bessie Coleman's example, Texans always do great things in a big way.
Hi, my name is Margaret.
Okay. So what do you plan to be when you grow up?
I was thinking about being an air traffic controller
And why do you want to be an air traffic controller?
because it looks exciting, and I like airplanes, but I think that if I become an air traffic controller, I may love airplanes even more.
Changes the world. The power of one begins.